Alright, what up guys? Wilbur Guy here. Just got a quick video here talking about what I've seen in the media on cryptocurrencies, what I think about things, how I trade a little bit too. So I'm just going to start off with this picture here. I love this picture, and I love thinking about cryptocurrencies like this. A bigger slice of the pie or a bigger pie. And that's what technology comes down to, is the people who started this technology, the people who understand distributed computing and decentralized means of trade. Because if you think about how we've traded for the last 10,000 years, there's always someone, I guess not 10,000 years. 10,000 years ago, we did trade how cryptocurrencies exist. We traded peer-to-peer without having an institution in the middle, without having a bank, a government that we needed to trade value. Of course, over time, we learned it doesn't make sense. What's one chicken to two cows? Or, how do we trade all these values? We have to put a certain number on everything. And that's where money came in. And that's where fiat currencies have came in over the last couple thousand years probably. But over the last couple hundred years and over the last even just 2 or 3 decades, all money has moved into digital. So it's really changed a lot in the last 3 decades. If you look at how trades of means works. So, and if you don't think of, you see it in the media and people are saying, oh, Bitcoin's a scam. I saw Jordan Belfort saying it's a bubble, like the tulip bubble back in the 1600s. But the reason it's different is technology here, and the people who started this really want to create a bigger pie. They just want to create a bigger pie that's decentralized. The people creating it don't want to get rich. Yeah, sure, they're gonna get rich. Anyone who started a cryptocurrency is a millionaire today because you just get in early. You get in early to what is a future technology and a future means of trade. You're gonna have an upper hand, but that's not the goal. Don't look at cryptocurrencies as an investment or as a way to get quick. That's how the media portrays it, and that's just, I don't know if it's they don't want people to really understand things or what, but if you look at it as a technology and as a distributed computing open source system, you will begin to look at cryptocurrencies the way that you should. And that's when you see an article like this and you just don't even blink. I don't care. I'll still take all of my money out from banks and put it into cryptocurrencies, even if it is the biggest bubble in the world, because you're comparing tulips, where they started crossbreeding tulips back in the 1600s for just dresses and for appearance, versus a mathematical distributed system of trading value. And it's hard to see as a first world citizen what's the point of this, but let me see here. The real people, it's all about third world countries and giving banking and just information to people who are able, not information, but giving means to people who don't have it yet. So I read this article in the Economist about banking in third world countries and how there's only 10% of people without an education in Africa, which is the majority of people, have a bank account. So that means, almost like probably about 80% of people in Africa, 70% of people in Africa total don't have a bank account. And so they have to trust the governments that they're not going to inflate money, which the inflation rates are all a lot higher in third world corrupt countries like that because they just print more money and there's no standard. But these people work their whole lives very hard and they're not able to save the value because they live in a corrupt system where they have no means to save it. They are in a crime-ridden country where the only place they can even store it store their value is in the government issued bonds that are going to deflate inflate so much that there's no value in them in 20 years. And then also that there's people coming around robbing them and because they have to store this money in their house. They can't just store it in a bank. They don't even have a bank account. They'd have to store it under their pillow. So it doesn't make sense. And this is why the majority of the world stays poor. If you look at people who have access to banking, that is the number one reason. A lot of really smart people, the Bill Gates Foundation, a lot of other different things and different nonprofits have realized it's not the fact that these people in these countries don't work or don't provide anything. It's that the fact that they're not able to even store the means of their value. And they're not able to trade it well because the fees are so high in banking. So that's what cryptocurrencies is going after. That's what it's trying to change. Just a little bit about how I trade now. People ask me what markets I use. I use every type of market. I use Coinbase. I use Bitfinex. I use Poloniex. I use whatever I can because I don't trade based on one exchange. I use many exchanges because I don't want to lose. I don't like keeping all my money out in exchanges because I like to keep, if it's a long-term investment, it's on a hardware wallet I have. Or it's, even if it's quite a bit, I'd like to keep it on not on their wallets. I like to keep it on my wallet. I might buy it and trade it here, but I'm not day trading often because it's a hard game, as you'll see a little bit later. So I just come out here though, if you come out and look at the markets on cryptocurrency market capitalization, this tells you who's trading the coin on what exchange. And that's a good way to really find what exchange you should use for what coin. But if I'm looking at, all right, what coin do I want to buy? Because I buy and sell coins often and try to make a little gains here and there. But I like to come out, look at, I only trade really these top 15 because the other ones are all ICO, pump and dumps. That's where I will agree with certain people like Jordan Belfort saying that ICOs are pump and dump scams. They are. I wouldn't get into an ICO unless you're able to look at the code and completely understand it. If you can't explain all the lines of code to someone on an ICO, then get out of it because there is a lot of pump and dumps. But all these top 10, all these coins with a handful of maybe one or two of them have been around for 4 to 5 years, and Bitcoin's been around for 7 years. So 7 years of developers working, and you can go out, and that's what I'm going to show you here is I clicked on Monero and Ripple here. I just like to show you. I like to look out here. I always like to go to the website and look at the source code, maybe go to the messenger board, see what information, what's going on here. But if you look at this right here, I think this tells a lot about what the value of a cryptocurrency is too. The circulating supply versus total supply that is available. If all the supply is available, which some of these other coins are, even some of the larger top 15, I think have a full, they released all their coins in the ICO, which means that there's no more coins being created. So eventually I think these coins are in cryptocurrencies are going to end up they're all trying to replace the way we use money and cash. So to have all the money already in circulation makes no sense to me because people are going to have to adapt at some point. And if the only people who have all those coins are the people who started developing or got really in early on the ICOs and traded and bought when it was still cheaper, people are going to be paying a real premium to be getting into cryptocurrencies if there's not new ones being created. So I like to look at that too. I like to think of that when I'm buying cryptocurrencies long term. But so let's say I always go out to the website. I like to check it out, read everything. The website doesn't say a whole lot. It's not real technical, but it's kind of convincing you that what we do is different. Here's what we do. For Monero, this is a pretty interesting one. That's why I picked this one. It is different. Monroe's taking a stance, or they say that, their goal is to be completely anonymous and completely private, and that's their goal. At the end of the day, they don't care about the speed so much. They don't care about the proof of work concept for the blockchain. They care about complete anonymity. So that's something different. You can go to the source code though. Here, if you can't see the source code, it means it's not open source, which if it's not open source, you shouldn't be trading a cryptocurrency that's not open source, because that's just the whole point of cryptocurrency is to decentralize finance and exchange of goods. So if it's not open source, it's not decentralized. So, but anyways, you come out here, you can look at the code, you can read, you can see who's been working on it. 131 contributors over the last 3.5 years, I think here. Yeah, and you can just see, all right, well, we've got a huge community of really good programmers and developers out here working hard, making sure the technology doesn't fall behind on Monero, keeping it up to date. You can look at in the how does it work? This is the GitHub, and GitHub's a repository for hosting code and projects. This is a lot more technical. If you don't really know programming, I would still recommend, if you don't know programming at all, I would still recommend going out here and just skimming through it, because you're not going to hurt yourself by taking 2 or 3 minutes just to try to read it. Even if 90% of it's over your head, that's fine. That's whatever. You still, I think, should understand the underlying technicalities and the principles of how these things work, instead of just listening to mainstream media. I would not listen to mainstream media. That's why I wouldn't buy Bitcoin, because they've been hyping it up so much in these last couple of months. Or anyone who knows about it, the actual developers for Bitcoin forked 7 months ago to start Bitcoin Cash. So the real developers started Bitcoin, have been working on Bitcoin Cash, which has all the same technology of Bitcoin, except for it's a lot faster and it doesn't have the same market cap, as you can see. But the technology is better. The technology is better in Ethereum. The technology is better in Litecoin. It's all better than Bitcoin. So don't be listening to, oh, Bitcoin's a scam. Yeah, Bitcoin's a little too hyped right now, but that's because the media doesn't understand how this technology even works. The Internet of Things, this is a really interesting coin, and I'm definitely going to get into this, because I think this is going to be huge in the future. It's really, if you didn't know anything about the Internet of Things and how we're moving to a society where everything's going to be connected to the internet in 5-10 years, everything's a smart appliance, and it's always sending constant data back and forth, communicating with everything else. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really sci-fi, honestly, the way it works from an underlying principle. It's going to be cool and creepy at the same time, but at the end of the day, this makes a lot of sense. If you go to the website and read, they're basically trying to create an economy of things, which makes sense, because when you're trading on a if you're eventually every country's gonna have a smart grid, where a smart power grid system, where we don't in the U.S. right now. You can't actually pump electricity right into the power grid and sell it at the rate it is being consumed at, which is some Scandinavian countries I believe do have it already, and it's just more efficient. Like why it's once again it's decentralizing something that is so necessary for energy. Why would we just have 5 or 6 companies that control all the energy and make a lot of money off of sending you a bill, when this cryptocurrency is just going to replace it with smart contracts where instantaneously at every second it's charging at the market rate, and it just communicates with everything connected to the Internet of Things, and it still uses the underlying blockchain and cryptography that is more secure than any banking or any other industry or any other system of computing exists today. So this is something I get into. This is a little harder. I don't even think you can buy this on exchange, or I'm sure you can, but you got to build a wallet here. This is that's the thing you'll see if you start looking at a lot of these cryptocurrencies and you start working your way down the list. The further you get from the top, you'll find some of these you can't even get on exchanges, or there's only a handful, and it's a lot more difficult to have them in a wallet, and that's just that barrier to entry. It's honestly, the people building this stuff know what they're doing, and they don't really care if your average Joe off the street can't go in and build a wallet from code and fork their code and get it to work, because they're kind of focusing right now on technology, and that's their market. I mean, these other ones are trying to get to other things, but they don't care if it's well understood in the media, because they're doing technical computer science things on the back end. But if you're going to trade too, the way I like to trade here is because once I understand all the coins, then I feel comfortable buying the coins. And the way I don't just buy them randomly. I mean, obviously I look at what's gone at in the past. Is it kind of in a valley now? Is it just spiked a lot? But also what I like to do is I come over to cryptocurrency calendar here, and this is a really great site. I've only been using this for a little bit, but it's a decentralized site, as you can see here, because you vote. So it's not you can't just write fake news in here, because anyone who knows a little bit about programming and fake media and fake news articles, it's really, really easy to just go out even on GitHub and find a simple thing and just write literally hundreds of fake news articles in a push of a button. So that's why the technology in the cryptocurrency community has created something like this, where it's cool, it's decentralized, you can validate based on people voting, and it's more secure than just reading news articles. But anyways, what you can do out here is you can search upcoming events. So here, December 15th, we have Ripple is going to start being used in Asian banks, because the Asian market is actually a lot bigger than the other parts of the world for cryptocurrencies. I mean, the majority of trading goes on in Asian countries. And then you can see you can pick any coin you want. Okay, they're going to be added finally on Coinbase. This should have been done months ago, but GDX and Coinbase are going to start trading Bitcoin Cash, which is I'm really all about Bitcoin Cash. 2018 is all about Bitcoin Cash. I think it's going to, by the end of 2018, Bitcoin Cash will be higher than Bitcoin, because the code is a lot better, and the people who are really skilled working on Bitcoin Bitcoin Cash are more skilled, I think, than the people working on Bitcoin, and have a better vision for the image or the future of cryptocurrencies. But that's my opinion. That's my spiel. But anyways, you come over here, you see, all right, 15th. I know something big's happening on Ripple on the 15th of December. I'm going to buy it a week before, because almost always when it's added to an exchange or there's some more code, the value is going to go up. So you buy it 15th up, and here it is. It went up 200% over this little couple day window here. And that's not random at all. People who think it's so volatile because it goes up hundreds of percent and it goes down hundreds of percent, they don't know how to program, and they're not looking at how this works, and they don't know the news. They didn't know that, none of those people could have told me that, the Asian bank started testing over in Japan and South Korea. Oh no, they finally got added to it different exchange. So this isn't random. The hardest thing about this, though, I will say, is it's really easy because at the end of the day, I think I'm kind of adapting to the standpoint that I should just buy and hold them as long as I can, because I've been buying cryptocurrencies for 2.5 years, and had I just never sold them, I would be a lot better off than had I ever sold a single one. Because I'm always trying to hit these tops and buy it in the low, sell it high, buy low. Well, the technology is too volatile, I think, kind of to be doing that with just a really good understanding of trading, and I understand what the volume is. If you're not looking at all that, I buy and hold. But because the thing that's hard is even the other day, I kind of went against what I'm saying right now, and that's why I'm saying this is I had bought Litecoin months ago when it was um, way cheaper than it was in the last couple days even, and all of a sudden I had this spike happen, and I didn't really look into why it happened. I just knew, all right, it went up, and I should have read, because what happened is they implemented Bitcoin's code, and had I just looked at this and read that, oh, they implemented a lot of the features of Bitcoin into Litecoin, but Litecoin's a lot more fast at validating transactions. I sold it somewhere in here. I forget exactly where, because I thought, oh, yes, I just got a 30-40% increase in a day. Like, that was great, and I'd been sitting on it going up for the last couple months anyways. So I was like, man, I've got a good return. And then over the course of the next 2 or 3 days, it goes up another 150%. And I'm just kicking myself, because had I done nothing, I would have made more money than I made in the last months sitting on it, watching it almost every day, just to let it do what it was going to do anyways, because of the underlying technology of it. But then the hard thing is, you get up here, you might want to sell it, because you kind of do want to try to sell it at a high and get it in the low, but who knows when that low is going to be, because now that I sold it down here like a fool, I don't want to pay this price, because I really just, I mean, I literally would have had more just had I done nothing with it. Like, I'm going to have the same amount of coin at the end of the day. So I might wait till this gets low, because I trust the technology in Litecoin a lot. So I want to get more, but like selling it at all was just a bad idea, I found out. Yeah, it drops 10% today. It's correcting, whatever. They're always going to correct. But like, look at any of these cryptocurrencies a year to date, and like, I wish they would show their return, but like, I think all of these cryptocurrencies in a year have done over 1,000%. Like, some of these have done 6,000% in a year, 6,000% return. And that's just like, I don't care if I put $100 in. Like, that's still a great return. I should just sit on it. So that's just my little speech for the day. Don't get too greedy and trying to sell it and buy low. I think you're better off coming back right to this picture, understanding the technology, and trying to think, all right, how is this going to change the whole entire world and how people trade, instead of how can I get rich quick on just buying some cryptocurrencies and not understanding it. So that's just because I just got to think, I think it's going to be around. I think it's going to be something that 10, 20 years from now, it's just going to be the way of life. So you might as well get used to it now, I think.